chronically untalented gays please report to the principal's office?
Guess that's you guys.
Hello, Principal Myers. First of all, I want to say God bless.
Shut up, you know why you're here.
I don't, actually.
For committing a crime against Jeff, our quarterback and the most good-looking, all-American, red-blooded, muscular man this town has ever seen.
Sir, please look in the mirror.
Shush.
Okay.
The homecoming game with Huntington is nearly a month away. Do you know how long we've been working toward this?
Yes.
It's everywhere.
20 years.
Couldn't be clearer.
I think I can explain.
I can explain. Jeff is psychotic and he tried to murder us.
Ha! Sure, you're all victims and girls are always right, right?
Yeah, actually.
Tonight on Reeling, we celebrate the 50th anniversary of two very different films being re-released in new restorations. Hi, I'm Laura Clifford.
Welcome to show number 823 of Reeling. I'm Robin Clifford. Two queer high school best friends, PJ and Josie, are not exactly popular, but before graduation, they come up with a plan to score with hot cheerleaders by starting a self-defense club for girls in Bottoms.
I can't believe they're letting you guys start a fight club.
No, they're not. We are not.
What are you talking about? We're gonna do it. We're doing it.
PJ, I wasn't being serious.
Josie, did you see the way that Isabel and Brittany were looking at us? Also, you heard the announcements. Girls are terrified. It's perfect. They need this.
Okay, no, they need, like, mace, maybe. We can't do that, okay? We'd be misleading them.
Guys do that all the time, okay? That's the point of feminism.
That's not the point of feminism. You also don't care about feminism. Your favorite show is Entourage. You're missing the point. I don't really think I am. We don't know how to fight.
You guys probably fought girls in juvie.
No, we were lying about that, obviously.
About juvie?
Yeah, I mean,
Why
what?
would you lie to me?
You were the one who said we went to juvie. I just didn't correct you.
I remember back in the 70s and 80s, the idea of a teen sex comedy was either something like Animal House or Porky's 2, Porky's 3, yeah. But they were always about horny young guys trying to score hot young girls. And the hot young girls were always objects. They were never subjects. They were never friends or anything. They were just objects of desire. Well, Emma Seligman and Rachel Sennett turned the whole idea of a teen sex comedy on its ear. One, by having it be two girls as the main character, having them be queer, and having it be a very fresh and almost innocent look at sex comedies. Now, very, very.
Although it's filled with four-letter words from start to finish and very violent.
and well, it's a Fight Club movie.
Yeah,
you have two really great characters in PJ and Josie. PJ's the radical. She's the one that actually comes up with the idea of the Fight Club, and she's willing to take the first punch, which says a lot about her character. Josie, on the other hand, is more of the voice of reason, you know? She's like, well, you know, she tries to temper her friend's enthusiasm.
Yeah. And the two of them are great together. Rachel Sennett, who co-wrote with Seligman, and they did Shiva Baby together earlier. And Aya Edebere, who Sennett worked with earlier in something else. Yeah, they really balance each other out. But the other thing I liked about this is all of the supporting cast are terrific here, too.
Down to the school advisor, Mr. G.
Yeah, who's played by former Seattle Seahawk Marshawn Lynch. Brilliant casting.
Really
he is
good.
Hilarious in this.
Yes, he is. You know, I mean, across the board, as you said, the other characters, the cheerleaders, all have full developed characters. It's funny.
Yeah, the objects of their affection, and they are objects initially, turn out not to be, and one of them forms a good relationship where the other one very calmly says she's straight.
And it's not a stigma about being queer.
But ends up punching out somebody with the really good right hook to protect PJ, who was the one who tried to kiss her, which I thought was rather adorable.
I think it deals with friendship as well as relationships.
I also thought I liked they pulled influences from things like American Pie. They had their own version of Stifler's Mom. Obviously, David Fincher's Fight Club and Sennett's Little Scene to Horror, which also featured a queer relationship. And I absolutely loved their homage to Spartacus's Snails and Oysters scene. I gave it a B+.
I did too. It was a really fun movie.
Yeah. For 6 months in 1997, police discovered 15 garbage bags filled with various neatly severed body parts of 5 women in Belgium. The media dubbed the serial killer the Butcher of Mons, but he was never identified or caught. Writer-director Karim Wihaj imagines his evil passing to a new generation. Daughter Martha, a victim who becomes victimizer. Older brother Felix, a megalomaniac.
Nous apprenons cependant de sources sûres que la cellule Corpus, lancée il y a 25 ans au moment de l'affaire du dépeceur de Mons, a été réactivée.
En plus de 20 ans, les enquêteurs ont suivi près de 1700 pistes sans jamais trouver aucune preuve. Aujourd'hui, la région est donc terrifiée à nouveau.
Donc là, c'est juste une petite visite de courtoisie pour vérifier que vous allez bien. Et au boulot, ça va?
Ouais, ça va. Il faut bien faire quelque chose. Il faut absolument faire quelque chose.
Well, this is what's known as an extreme horror film, and while they often exist just for the salacious satisfaction of gorehounds, that's not always the case, as it is here, because Wihaj has come up with, he really does delve into how evil perpetuates itself, and how people that are exposed to horrors take them in and often reflect them back in their own behavior. This is also a really artistically arresting horror film. The production design is outstanding.
The clip, I like the clip that you had. It gave you a lot of the story.
And very well done. The cinematography is also
Was
really,
it black
really
and white,
good.
or does it just look black and white?
No, it's in color. In fact, there were several aspects of this that made me think of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
High praise.
Well, it climaxes in a rather bizarre dinner scene that becomes very violent, for one thing, and also the whole family aspect of it. But that was shot in the bright Texas sunshine, whereas this is like this sickly green, rotten decay. And the house, you could tell the house was once maybe the home of a wealthy merchant.
Yeah.
It's got these Aubusson rugs and the heavy carved wooden furniture, but it's all going
Shoddy and seedy.
Yeah, you can almost hear drip, drip, drip. They have the sound of a grandfather clock in the distance all the time. And then you hear these weird moans and screams, and you presume these are Felix's victims. Now, this won both Best Film and Best Actress at the very prestigious Fantasia Film Festival, and Aline Schumacher really gives a hell of a performance here as this emotionally stunted woman who she has this unsettling balance between empathy and cruelty. This one isn't for all tastes, but it really gives you something to chew on, and it's sounds perverse to say it, but it was stunning. I gave it an A-.
That's high praise. I did not see it, but
yeah, not your type of movie.
No, not really. 12-year-old Georgie has lived alone in her small London flat since her mother died. She has successfully avoided social services and makes a living stealing bikes with her BFF Allie. Things are fine until her father, the father she never knew, hops the fence into her yard and into her life in Scrapper.
Me and your mum used to play this game, yeah, where you pick people having a conversation and you have it for them. That make up a little story for them. Now look at these two groups. Right. Let's just assume they're a couple. I'll be the guy, you'll be the woman, yeah? My God, this sandwich is bloody delightful. Do that.
I think it was only £10.
Well, £10 isn't much to me. Pocket change, darling.
Darling, when did you discuss and talk about your job?
What about my job?
There's not enough money for the plants.
Sandra, I'm not going through this again. It's all getting too much. Your spending's out of control.
Excuse me?
That is Lola Campbell as Georgie, and she is a phenomenon. What a fully formed little person that we have here who can act and be convincing about it.
And be entertaining as hell, too.
And she plays very well off of Harris Dickinson, who plays her estranged father, Jason.
Who's just a big kid himself.
And that's what I think is the charm about the movie. It's about a father-daughter, but it's also about an adult and a child, and it's not the same people, you know. Lola is very mature for her age, and her father is very immature for his age. He's spent the past years tending bar in Ibiza and, you know, just living a good life, and then he finds out that his ex-wife is dead, and he comes to try to be the good father. She doesn't want to have anything to do with this, being a good father, but he holds the, well, I can always turn you in over them. So you've got a really wonderful relationship that builds, and the charm of the movie is how the characters interact and how the arc of the story goes.
Yeah, this is from writer-director Charlotte Reagan, who started shooting music videos when she was 15. This is her feature debut when she won the Sundance Jury World Cinema Prize.
I think it's just a wonderful little movie.
And I found it to be the joyful counterpart to Charlotte Wells's debut from last year, After Sun, which dealt with very similar subject matter, but was much more melancholy, and also had a phenomenon in Frankie Corsio. Yeah, this one is delightful. It's funny. It's inventive. I like the way she uses the neighborhood kids as a Greek chorus and all these color-coded little things. It's a charming little movie. It's absolutely really adorable, and I gave it a B+.
Me too.
50 years ago, after the revelations of the French New Wave, free love, and the Parisian unrest of May 1968, filmmaker Jean Eustache created a fictionalized account of his own open relationship with two very different women to examine power dynamics in an age of shifting morality in The Mother and the Whore.
Je suis persuadé que tout ce qui est arrivé dans le monde ces dernières années est totalement dirigé contre moi. Il y a eu la révolution culturelle, mai 68, les Rolling Stones, les cheveux longs, les Black Panthers, les Palestiniens, l'Underground, et depuis 2-3 ans, plus rien.
Qu'est-ce qui vous a pris ce matin? Vous êtes parti de bonne heure?
J'ai dragué une fille. Je ne voulais pas vous le dire, mais je n'arrive pas à vous cacher quelque chose. Je ne peux m'intéresser qu'à quelqu'un que j'intéresse déjà.
On finira par ne plus rien y voir.
Vieux con, vous savez que je vous aime. Ceci dit, je comprends très bien que vous ayez envie de séduire.
No. That was Jean-Pierre Léaud there, who you may remember is the little kid in the 400
I don't
Blows.
think many are going to remember that, too.
Well, he's been in French films
all
his life. As Alexandra, the Jean Eustache stand-in here. This is a kind of legendary film that's been difficult to see over the years. It's over 3.5 hours long.
Yes, it is.
And I can't say that it completely sustains for that length. I started to get going into the final hour was a bit rough, and the final hour gets really, really bleak and rather depressing. But this movie can be surprisingly funny in the beginning with Alexandra and his pseudo-intellectual pursuits of trying to impress these women.
For one, I must be getting old. No, I am getting old. Why would, I mean, this guy is such a poser. You know, if you could see it with the multiple scarves on and everything. And he doesn't work. He sponges off of everybody, and everybody knows it. Why would these women be involved in this with this guy?
He considers it his job to sit
with the director, maybe because he was a filmmaker, he could get away with it. But this guy's just a jerk.
Well,
3.5 hours is a long time to sit through this.
This is one of the
I did it.
This is one of the 50th anniversary films, and it's part of an all-encompassing Eustache retrospective called
Which you've been trying to get through.
The Dirty Stories of Jean Eustache. And I watched his first, he only made 2 feature narrative films, this being the first one. I watched his first 2 narrative shorts, which also featured a pair of shiftless guys who were unemployed, stealing from the women they were trying to pick up. So this guy actually was
He's a nice guy compared
he was
to him,
actually
yeah.
a little better than the other ones. But it's actually a rather fascinating film, and it's a very cynical look at a post-revolutionary time.
It's also shows Parisian male youth post 68. And it's not a pretty picture.
In any event, I gave it a B+.
I gave it a C+. It is said that truth is stranger than fiction, and that seems to be the case with the based on a true story of a young gamer, Jan Mardenborough, who went from computer simulators console to an actual steering wheel and a professional race driving career in Gran Turismo.
I will be your judge. I will be your jury.
All right, come on, you gamer kids. This must be a new experience for you. Last time you stretched your legs was to go get another packet of Hot Pockets from the freezer. You get tired, you get sloppy, you get hurt, and you lose races.
I heard your trainer Jack can be a little hard on the team.
I mean, he means it well. He's tough, but it's like tough love.
I need you to be faster than this. Don't think, just react. You're gonna be hot in the car, you're gonna be tired. Focus.
Jack thinks we just suck.
Grabbed a bunch of cones back there, extra points. And I will decide who is eliminated. I'm coming in. Close that gap, close that gap. Jesus Christ.
That was David Harbour as their trainer.
And he's exceptionally good in this.
He is the star of this movie as far as I'm concerned. Well, that and the really well combined combination of actual race car driving footage and CGI race car footage.
Archie Madekwe from Midsummer plays Jan Mardenborough, and Jan Mardenborough acted as his stunt driver, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, which was pretty cool. It's an unbelievable story.
That's true.
That's true. It really is. To think about Nissan Corporation took a chance to take VR drivers of Gran Turismo video game and gave them the opportunity to become world-class race car drivers in real life. And it's just like, you can't make this stuff up. Even if you make it up, people are going to say, that's not plausible. And it happened. This is quite a story.
But as Jan reminds his father, played by Jimon Hunsu, it's not a game, it's a simulation. And even David Harbour's character comes to realize that these kids know a lot more than he expects them to know, because it let them do things like build their vehicles.
Which is really,
the real
they do
race,
that.
The real race tracks are meticulously...
They do the building of the vehicles in CGI as the race is going on, so that you have it from the perspective of the driver as the car, you see the car disassemble around them as the camera rolls around, and then reassemble. And it's like, the combination of these things are what make this such a lot of fun to watch.
Well, it's funny. This is from director Neil Blomkamp, who I think has been struggling ever since 2009's District 9. And his last film, Demonic, used similar special effects, but it was abysmal. He has come roaring back with this one. It is a little tunnel vision. A lot of the supporting relationships completely fall by the wayside throughout the middle of the film. But it was still really exciting and well done, and I love David Harbour in it. I gave it a B.
I gave, despite the fact that they paid short shrift to the other characters in it, I gave it a B+.
Over a pitch black screen, we hear the sound of gunfire and explosions. The image which first appears is that of La Moneda Palace beneath clouds of smoke. It is September 11th, 1973, and right-wing nationalists, having failed to remove socialist President Salvador Allende and his popular unity government with constitutional means, has resorted to a violent military coup, aided and abetted by Richard Nixon's CIA in the Battle of Chile.
Un gobierno popular, democrático, nacional, revolucionario, que debe cumplir un programa para abrir el camino al socialismo y a la transformación de nuestra sociedad.
Los ricos jamás van a tirar para nosotros. Y todo lo que tenemos nosotros ahora lo tenemos por el gobierno de ahora.
Molido, y este es un gobierno corrompido y degenerado, señor.
De un lado la burguesía, ¿cierto? Y de otro lado el proletariado, y ese enfrentamiento se va a tener que dar.
This is from Chilean director Patricio Guzman, and it's actually 3 films. They're all about 90 minutes long, so they, total up to about 4.5 hours, and it's part of a program called Chile Year Zero that's being run at the Harvard Film Archive with some films from other filmmakers. But this is obviously the centerpiece of it. It's a 2K restoration of this landmark 3-part documentary, which I'm embarrassed to say I had not seen until now.
I knew about it, but I never saw it.
Although we've seen, Guzman has made films about Chile all his life, and we've seen them and reviewed more recent works like Nostalgia for the Light, The Pearl Button, and The Cordillera of Dreams. This is an outstanding piece of work.
When you think about how young they all were at the time of this and the dedication, I mean, one of the cameramen gave his life.
Yeah,
and they chillingly show that.
The end of part 1, you see a military guy turn his weapon to the cameraman, and the image goes tumbling to the ground. That's how part 1 ends. And all 3 films are dedicated to an Argentinian cinematographer who was disappeared with his girlfriend by Pinochet. And the cinematography throughout this is fantastic. You really feel like you're
these people were in the middle of it all.
In the action, whether it's parliamentary proceedings or violence in the street or interviews with all these nationalists, and it's an analysis. It's an analysis of multiple years of Allende's government and how the right worked, chipped away to try and bring it down, and they couldn't. And the parallels that it has to what's happening in this country today are astounding.
Unfortunately, I don't think at the time of the making of the film that Guzman had all of the American involvement in that, because it is extensive.
Oh, they mention it. They never say Richard Nixon or Henry Kissinger, but they say the North American government and the White House plenty of times.
Never say CIA.
It's really worth checking out. It's absolutely astounding. I gave it an A.
I gave it an A-. In snowbound northern Japan, teenage Akio Sakurai immersed himself in the music of Led Zeppelin and particularly the guitar licks of leader Jimmy Page. For 35 years, he honed his own chops, meticulously recreating Page's work in tiny clubs in Tokyo. Then the real Jimmy Page walks into the room, and Akio's life changes, and Mr. Jimmy.
Yeah, this is another Truth is Stranger Than Fiction documentary. This guy's astounding. I couldn't believe the incredible level of detail. They talk about the solder on the inside of an amp giving texture to the sound. Little pieces on a guitar being worn down just the right way.
How many rows of very intricate embroidery are there on Page's jackets in 1973, and he has a seamstress recreating his costumes.
And then there's also a very interesting, my favorite part, he played a few bars of the same piece 3 times in a row when he'd go like 1972,
the different
1973, 1976, and they were subtle, but distinct.
Them, yeah.
And he eschews the studio recordings for live recordings, so he has studied bootleg after bootleg after bootleg in order to be able to do this. But when he comes to America, the Japanese understand obsession more.
Not the Americans.
Yes, and there's a cultural clash, and he goes through some real ups and downs in the United States. But I love the way the director ends it. He kind of has his dream come true in a lovely way. It does go on a little too long. I found
you get kind of tired of it.
Like
one of the things that I got out of it.
His manager racing at the Bonneville Salt Flats seemed a little off cue.
Well, but the thing that got me is that you have this man who is really dedicated and had incredible talent, guitar playing skills, but all he's doing is imitating. And I felt that kind of sad.
Yeah, that's the mystery behind the whole thing.
Why did he do this?
That's it for tonight. I gave that one a B. Here's what we thought of the 7 movies we just reviewed. One we'll be talking about on the way out, and one we didn't have time for tonight. I couldn't believe how impressed I was with Megalomaniac. You might have even been too, but really a lot of good movies. Before we come back the next time, I'm sorry I could not bring myself to go see My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3, so we won't be reviewing that. And
I wouldn't go see it.
Equalizer 3 wasn't screened in Boston. If you're wondering why things like the Boston Herald and the Boston Globe can review it, it's because their lead critics don't live in Boston. A number of films we already reviewed, like How to Blow Up a Pipeline, Linoleum, Joyland, Blackberry, and Smoking Causes Cancer, are all coming to Landmark Kendall's Movies You May Have Missed series, and you can find reviews for those on our website. And as usual, you can find out when and where to see all these movies at the bottom of our own online reviews at reelingreviews.com. We'll be back next time with A Haunting in Venice, Cassandro, and the not quite 40th anniversary 4K restoration of Stop Making Sense. Good night, everyone.
Good night, folks. See you next time. Thanks for joining us.
Drew is excited about making a dive at the bottom of a majestic cliff face, but her older sister May seems withdrawn. After examining a cave 20 feet down that allows them to surface, they head into open water, but a rock slide above the surface strikes May and pins her deep below. May gives specific instructions on what Drew should do within the next 20 minutes, but everything that can go wrong does on the dive. German co-writer-director Maximilian Erlewine remakes Joachim Haydn's Norwegian Breaking Surface in English at a remote and dramatic location in Malta, which adds to the film's suspense. Narratively, the film works for its first 2 acts, May's imaginings and memories, sketchily filling in some blanks about the sisters' relationship, but a rushed 3rd act incorporating a prop that's been apparent for some time blunts the movie's overall impact. While the sisters seem in sync driving along a coastal road while belting out Only You, once they surface in the small cave to take their masks off, Drew tells May she can't read her and asks if she's even enjoying this outing. A miserable-looking May assures her she is and heads out of the cave. Minutes later, stones, rocks, and boulders rain into the sea and May disappears. A panicked Drew finally finds her at the bottom of the churned-up ocean floor. May only has about 25 minutes of air, Drew even less. She has to go up to their car. She loses the car keys in the water. I mean, she has to throw a rock through to get the extra tanks, but then she can't get to the phone to call for help. Everything goes wrong. Cinematographer Frank Grebe mainly keeps close to the women underwater, trailing behind her, shooting from high overhead on land.
Very claustrophobic effect.
Yeah, it just kind of needed more air. The ending just got a little too overhyped.
They
I
rushed
give it a
it.
B-.
They rushed it.